So music. Music is a topic that can have a short series of its own, but in this video we will be discussing only that part of music that is practically relevant to the series. More specifically, we will be discussing about the music that would help us relax. Now I want to clear this out before we move on. There is a difference between using music as a tool of relaxation and using it as a means of distraction. There is a significant difference between the two. Distracting music causes distraction. Distraction takes your attention away from the stress. It forces your brain to look away from it. Whereas a relaxing music causes relaxation. Relaxation helps you look at the stress and problems you are going through with a more cooler and relaxed state of mind. So what exactly do I mean by distracting music and relaxing music? Let me inform you what I mean by them. Music that takes away most of your attention when you are listening to it, allowing you to shut away your thoughts so you can't hear them anymore. I'm referring to these type of music as distracting. Whereas music that does not take away most of your attention and only boosts your ability to stay focused and calm, I'm referring to these type of music as relaxing. This relaxing category of music does not shut away your thoughts, you see. It only helps you process your problem and stress in a more relaxed state of mind. What I'm going to be encouraging you to practice in the course of this video is that I want you to pick up the relaxing category of music when you are looking to ease your stress, rather than the distracting category of music. Before I specify the characteristics of a relaxing music and distracting music so you can identify them better, I want to first further talk about the difference between the two and why it's really important that you are aware of the consequences of listening to each of them. The reason I want to talk about this is because most people use music as a means of distraction rather than relaxation, which ends up causing deep issues for them. So let's continue with this. If you use music as a means of distraction, if you look away from the stress, then our focus would be diverted from the stress to something else. That is what distraction means. If you look away, then we are not acknowledging or learning from the purpose of stress that we discussed about in the last episode. Stress is there to teach you something. It is there to motivate you and help you realize something very important that your unconscious mind believes would be very useful for you in your current stage of life. If you don't learn from the experience of stress and look away, then distraction is only a temporary fix. The stress you looked away from will come back later, accumulating more stress. Then you would be challenged with even bigger stress. If you further distract yourself, then again, your stress will temporarily vanish and then come back later with even more larger baggage of stress. And hence in this manner your stress would keep growing more and more. This process will slowly plunge you into the jaws of confusion and depression. And then you would be randomly wandering to people around you and on online websites announcing how you don't know what to do anymore. Well, of course you would not know what to do. Stress was helping you figure out on what to do and you just kept distracting yourself. So we don't want that. We don't want to look away from stress, but rather we want to acknowledge that it's there for a reason and we want to learn to better manage it. What we want is that we want to keep our focus on stress, but just look at it in a more relaxed state of mind. And the relaxing category of music can help us with this. When we look at our stress and our problems in a more relaxed state of mind, we can then more properly learn from the experience of stress. We can think more clearly and optimistically. We can analyze better why the stress is there and figure out what message it's trying to give us. And as you may know from the last episode, when you fulfill the purpose of stress by acknowledging and fulfilling its message, the stress goes away. Not only does the stress go away completely, but you evolve to better and more confidently handle the challenges that occur in your life. I hope all of this makes sense. So again, we need to use music as a means of relaxation, not as a means of distraction. So how do we identify which music is relaxing and which is distracting? First of all, it's very subjective. What may be relaxing to me might not be as relaxing for you. But there are a few key characteristics of a relaxing music, so let's take a look at them. The first characteristic and a most subjective one is that you must enjoy the music. If you personally don't enjoy listening to it, then of course it won't be relaxing. Second, it must not have any lyrics to it, hence all you are left with are the classical music, the instrumental ones, natural sounds, binaural beats, isochronic tones and so forth. Lyrics add a lot of noise into the music which may end up blocking most of your inner thoughts. Blocking your inner thoughts means you can't properly pay attention to the stress and think about it. Lyrics obstruct your thinking. That's why music with lyrics come into the category of distracting music. People listen to these type of music in stressful situations because it helps shutting up their inner thoughts that are making them focus on the stress. The concept of this is simple. People who want to shut their inner voices try to do so by creating a lot of external noise. They shut their inner voices by overloading their sense of hearing. The external noise takes their attention away from their inner voices, which serves as a distraction. People who cut themselves or do self-harm follow the same principle. They overload their sense of feeling by physically harming themselves. So in consequence, that forces their mind to be so distracted by the physical pain that it loses all focus from the emotional, psychological stress that was there. I hope this makes sense. So lyrics add noise. Noise is distracting. Hence, if a music feels noisy, if you feel that it's making it difficult for you to think and hear your internal thoughts, then that music is distracting and not relaxing. Third, and this one is also subjective, the music should not feel noisy and it should not be attention grabbing. It should feel like a light background music rather than a type of music that takes over most of your attention. The reason you don't want the music to grab much of your attention is because that attention needs to be directed to focusing on figuring out the purpose of stress. I apologize for not being able to give you any proper example in this video. That's because using someone's music might result in a copyright related issue for me. So I would leave you with some examples in the video description, so be sure to check them out. Now let's get a bit technical on what we want to achieve here. Music is just vibrations or frequencies arranged in a way that sounds pleasuring. And if you watched the second episode of my sleep hack series, you would know that our brain operates on these different frequencies, and depending on which range of frequency it's operating upon, our mental state changes. The music we listen to with our ears directly affects the frequency our brain is operating on. The frequency of music we are listening to with our ears directly affects the frequency our brain is operating on. Therefore, depending on the type of music you are listening to, the music can change your mental state. Depending on what music you are listening to, it can make you happy, it can make you sad, it can relax you, it can make you teary, it can make you feel intensely emotional, it can make you feel high, it can make you sexually aroused, or it can even make you emotionally dissociated. The music you listen to, whether you know it or not, has a huge impact on your psychology that is being developed. And this is just about the music without considering the lyrics. The lyrics have a different field of effects. But let's remain on topic here. So the music we hear directly affects our mental state. What we want is, we want to listen to music that relaxes us and use it to glue our brain to a relaxing state. So that even when we want to think about our stress and problems, our brain is completely glued to the relaxed state because of the music, hence making it easier for us to remain cool-headed while thinking about the stress and while processing it. The relaxing genre of music helps in keeping us emotionally stable and in control during the whole process of figuring out the message of stress. I hope all of this makes sense. If you have not watched the last episode of the Ataraxia series, that is the 9th one specifically, I highly recommend it because the practice in this video may make more sense to you after you watch that. Allow me to conclude what we learned in this video in the most simplest of sense. In times of great stress and depression, music can help in relaxing us, or it can help in distracting us. We want to use music to inject a state of relaxation into us so that we can think about our stress in a more calmer and emotionally stable state, making it overall easier for us to figure out the cause and message of stress and how to go about proceeding to deal with it. I hope this makes sense. Be sure to keep in your mind the difference between a relaxing music and a distracting one. And another thing I would like to suggest is that I recommend that you stop listening to music for the next 10-20 days. When you listen to music after this period, your taste in music may likely be more flexible, making it easier for you to switch yourself from the distracting genre of music to the relaxing one. Well, with that, allow me to wrap up this video. You can click the I in the top right corner of this video and attend a poll that I've put up. It's a quick and anonymous way to give me feedback, so do check it out. Be sure to read through the video description below, as I mostly add something more about the topic in there. I think I shall write about the Mozart effect down there, so be sure to check that out. If you have any comments, suggestions, criticism, feedback, or questions for me in the back of your head, be sure to sing them out in the comment section. If you would like to support me in making more of these type of videos, then be sure to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs down because of how not awesome it is, and share it to spark practical curiosity. I really appreciate all that, including the thumbs down. And lastly, do grab a comprehensible look at more of my uploads. And with that, thank you super duper much for watching, and see you awesome folks in another video.